Hey y'all, it's April the 1st, 2017, and I want to let you know right off the bat, this is not an April 1st Fool's joke video. I don't really celebrate holidays, but so happens to be April the 1st, 2017, and I have something very important to share with y'all today. Extremely important that, it's kind of been a long time overdue. But however, I feel the calling now to talk about what it is that I feel like we need to talk about today. Right? I feel the urge to share with y'all now. Now, before I begin, there's going to be words said in this video, and you've been warned in the title. There's going to be words said in this video that it's going to make a lot of people feel uncomfortable. And those people who feel like they're going to be uncomfortable and stuff might as well just go ahead and turn off the video. All right, I'm letting you know. All right, I don't want to offend you. All right, turn off that video. But everybody else, I want to talk to y'all real quick. All right, I was on the internet, right, which I am a lot. The other day, I left a comment on a friend's timeline. All right, I left a comment because I was commenting on the meme that she put out and stuff, and then I said something. I forget what I said, but I said the word nigga. All right, this lady whose skin is lighter than me, might I add, this lady, she got offended, and like I said, she's my friend and stuff. So, I let her know immediately. I didn't know you'd be offended because I said that word, and so I'm not gonna say that word again because I know that it'll offend you. All right, I'm sorry about that. I didn't really say I'm sorry, but I did say I'm not gonna say that word again. Meanwhile, other people got to see her meme on the internet, and then subsequently they saw my comment, and they also grew very offended. They were very enraged, and they made it known verbally and publicly how enraged they were at the fact that I would say nigga on the internet. There's so many people that say the word nigga on the internet, and most of them do not even look like me. However, when I said nigga on the internet, I managed to kick up some dust and stuff. And the thing is, everybody knows what I'm talking about. Everybody knows that this takes place. All right. And in fact, a lot of people know, that, to include myself, that most times when people are offended by when you say nigger on the internet or, anywhere else, most of the time, the people who are most offended are actually light-skinned people. And it's funny and it's kind of ironic, and we discussed all this in the comments. It became a large feed as I was trying to defend my position of the fact that I just said nigga, and if you don't like it, I'm not gonna say it no more. I just didn't know it was off limits. All right. But these strangers, I guess, who I never met before, they decided to have a kind of a dialogue with me, and they were saying all sort of things. They were asking all sort of questions. Most of their questions were something like, how dare you? How can you dare? How do you dare say that word nigga and stuff? Don't you know that your ancestors held people down for all throughout history by saying the word nigga and stuff, and you should feel bad about that? And that's exactly what they said. You already know what they said. Right? And not only that, see, what I gotta explain is not only is that, kind of assuming that I have a racist agenda, but not only that, it's assuming all sort of things about me. Throughout the feed, these people who I don't know, were assuming all sort of things about me. They were assuming what kind of books I read, who I might, they were assuming my whole life. All right, they were assuming that they know my whole background. And like I stated before, my family, the family that I grew around, see, you can't just assume that you know where I come from is the problem. And that's actually the problem in most of Texas. You cannot assume you know where I come from or who's my family and stuff. I mean, you had to make all sort of assumptions about me. And that is what they done. You have to make the assumptions that somehow maybe my close ancestry were slaveholders. Now, I promise you they weren't. But that's the thing. I really don't have nothing to prove to nobody. I don't even know about my distant ancestors. Maybe they were slaveholders somewhere. I don't know who they are. All right, but as far as my recent ancestry, ain't none of them held slaves. They were all poor, basically. All right, so but you had to assume all sort of things about a person to assume that they're coming from a racist direction simply by saying the word nigga. And what I had to say is, in Texas, a lot of people say the word nigga. A lot of people say it all the time. A lot of people say it to me, and you'd be surprised. I mean, I understand there's places in the country where you don't say that. You just can't say that. Texas is somewhat of a different place, right? And people don't really understand that yet. All right, but like I said, you had to make all sort of assumptions, and that is what they did in trying to debate me. Because the thing is, I was debating against the fear of words. I feel like no words should be off limits. That is part of the First Amendment and stuff like that. These people were arguing over the against like the idea of me and my ancestry holding everybody down and calling them niggas, and no, we didn't. Probably didn't. All right, but I want to explain something. In fact, I'll tell you a short story real quick. Like I said, my mom's family, on her side of the family, pretty much all Hispanic, all Mexican. All right. On my dad's side of the family, you got Polish people, you got white people, generally speaking. Didn't hardly know any of them coming up. They're back in New England and stuff. I didn't hardly know who any of them were. All right, on my dad's side of the family, I did know my mom's side of the family quite well. I mean, there was all sort of cousins, and some cousins lived far away, some lived close. All right, but I grew up with them basically, mainly Hispanic, mainly what you would call racist people. All right, and it's funny because just how racist they were is like they completely accepted me being as light skinned as I am as one of them, even as racist as they were. You know what I'm saying? So this is where I'm going. Not only that, all right, I also have cousins, and you might just assume that I don't, but I do have cousins who are what you would call what is referred to as half black. And these were the cousins that actually lived closest to me. It's like the ones that I saw the most were half black, half Hispanic, what you would call half Hispanic children. Right? But just to make all these assumptions, like my whole life, is to assume that that is not the case with me. But it is the case with me. And what I want to explain is this, even on my mom's side of the family, even though I did know them, and I do know them, fairly well, we're very good at not talking to each other for long, long periods of time. We'll get caught up in our own lives, and we won't even talk to certain people, just won't talk to them for years and years. It's just something that happens on my mom's side of the family. That's how we were raised to do things. That being said, just recently, my cousin Maricela, like I said, I grew up most with my cousin Maricela and Howard. That would be her brother. All right, I saw some of my other cousins from here and there, and just not so much. But Maricela, she found me on the internet just the other day. All right, and I'm talking about after years and years of not talking to each other. All right, not really knowing. Not a lot of years, maybe a handful of years went by, and she found me on the internet. She friend requested me. I went ahead and accepted her request, even though my Facebook group is very exclusive, and everybody knows that. I accepted her because I grew up with this girl, dude. Like, she holds a special place in my heart, and I think she knows that. And I think I hold a special place in her heart. Right? We came up together. All right. This, what you would call half black, half Hispanic lady. First of all, she's gorgeous. She is what you would think about when people think about mixed breed children and how attractive they are. This lady, she's absolutely not only just physically very appealing, but also not only that, she loves God, and I've known that for a long, long time. Loves Him. She's very outward about it. She's very vocal about it. And that's the kind of stuff that I do like. Anyway, I accepted her on the Facebook, on my Facebook page. And immediately after I accepted her, I noticed that she liked one of my links to my videos. Because, Facebook will let you know. And so she liked one of the links on my videos. And I believe the caption on the link to my video read almost exactly This is why these niggas want to kill me. That was the caption of the link that my cousin, who is half black, she went ahead and immediately liked. You gotta understand, these laws of saying and not saying words, and people can say words and they can't say certain words, it exists. I'm aware that it does, but where I come from, it really doesn't. Especially in Texas, you'll find that more often than not, people are allowed to say whatever words. Right? Especially around people who they have an understanding with. All right, there's all sort of races of people, and they're doing all sort of intermingling here in Texas. They've been doing it. You know what's funny is if you ever hear like of a cop shooting or whatever, maybe a white cop shot a black dude up in Texas, you'll find that if you do more research, if you just dive a little bit further in, you'll find that most of these white cops have Hispanic surnames. None of this makes sense, dude. Race, honestly, the way that everybody thinks about it in the nation is kind of a joke here in Texas. It's kind of a joke because we are so intermingled within among our races. We all know children who are mixed. All right, there's a lot of white people around here with Hispanic surnames. All right, and I do want to explain that, you know, Hispanic people and black people, they do sometimes form gangs, and so do what you would call white people. They form gangs, and there's gang violence, and it is a racial thing. That does happen here. All right, but at the same time, the rest of society thinks of it as a running joke. It's so preposterous to think that we all hate each other out here when we all keep making babies with each other out here. All right, but anyways, that was the first thing that she liked. My cousin Maricela, who I grew up with, said she liked where I said, "This is why these niggas want to kill me." And just briefly, that was in reference to a video that I made regarding Julia, the autistic Muppet. And the thing is, I'll never accept this autistic Muppet. I'll never accept this dang Sesame Street to begin with. All right? I'm glad Donald Trump done cut off funding to them. It kind of makes me happy. But here's the thing. This is why these niggas want to kill me. And my cousin Maricela liked that one first. This is how much we've transcended a lot of people's thinking out here. All right, and it's not to talk down on y'all for the rest of the country and say, oh, y'all are still bound up by these racial inequalities. It's not to say that. And everybody knows there's inner cities and there's outer cities, and there is racial inequalities here and there and stuff, and financial inequalities. Financial inequalities being the most important. All right, we all know it's taking place, but in Texas, it is an absurd joke, and I'm sorry, that's just where I come from. All right, so when we think about this word, we don't really think about it in such a way as like, oh, I'm a master of you, and you're some sort of less of a human being when I say it to you, especially when I'm not saying it to the right skin color of people. I say it to everybody. If I feel comfortable around you, I'm going to say it. All right, and then you let me know if you feel uncomfortable, and I'm going to stop saying it. All right, but we're not necessarily bound by these rules that have been made. We actually understand in many parts of Texas that these rules are absurd. That certain people can say these words and certain people can't say these words and stuff. When we all think about it, and we all look back to our ancestry, what we see is a bunch of poor-ass people, believe it or not. You look at slavery at the height of its peak in the United States of America, while slavery was going on everywhere else in the world since the beginning of time, and you look at slavery at the peak in the United States of America, it wasn't much slave owners out here. It wasn't many of them, all right? The percentage was actually quite low. The major majority of people were people who were poor as hell and in no way could afford slaves. And that's most of our ancestors. I'm talking about most of us out here. It's a slight minority of people who actually have ancestry of people who own slaves. All right, so that's what we're dealing with and stuff, man. We completely transcend what we've been taught in public schools. And what I want to mention real briefly, what you're taught in public schools is black people are less of humans, and they're struggling for their civil rights, and they're struggling for their civil rights. Black people, Ben, if you're gonna call them black, Ben had their civil rights here in America. been have their civil rights. In fact, everybody seems to be on a clean slate. In fact, it seems like we're all poor out here. It seems like our ancestors were poor out there. All right? So every single one of us, it does not matter what you look like at all. It really doesn't. Every single one of us has the opportunity to come up and to no longer be a slave financially and no longer be a slave mentally at the same time, spiritually. No longer be a slave to all these rules that don't make any sense, that really just divide us, been dividing us, right, in ways that are just not congruent with the Bible, for number one, and ways that just don't benefit us at all. It doesn't benefit us at all to have a Black Lives Matters running around. Doesn't benefit us at all to have the Klan running around, or any kind of La Raza or anything else. Just doesn't benefit us. It doesn't benefit us as a whole, because you understand that none of us, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, Eskimo, none of us are really coming up. Our so-called leaders or whatever aren't making it to where we're all prosperous and stuff. We've all been failed, all right? Thing is, we got to pick up our own bootstraps. We got to. This is America, the land of opportunity. Every single person has the opportunity to make anything they want out of themselves. And while doing this, what they're going to know is that ain't no words out here going to stop them. There's no words. There are no words that could stop you from doing what you want, especially here in America. If you really, truly want it. If you really, truly don't want to be a slave. If you really, truly don't want to be looked on as less of a human being. Well, then you can come up and make your statement here in America. And that's why I love America so much, man. It does not matter what race you are. You can do it. But the thing is, you do have to assimilate to our culture, because our culture is the best culture there ever was. Right. And this is why our people have the most prosperity that there ever was. Right. And we're losing it. We're losing it here and there. This is the tribulation. We're losing our prosperity. We need to get it back. I don't care what color you are. Ain't no word should ever stop you. Honestly, ain't no word should ever hurt your feelings, because we're all made by one God. No matter what you want to admit to, we are all made by one God. We're made equal, and we could all prosper. We could all search for the pursuit of happiness. You know what I'm saying? This is America. And lastly, I would like to finish with this, because it's been a long video. But you have to assume, like I said, people who assume I say nigger, and I say it in a hateful way, that I want to bring people down. People who make this assumption, they make all sort of assumptions about me and my life and what it is I like and what I don't like. And these people don't know. They couldn't possibly know. And I don't know what they like. I don't know where they come from. But I want to, and I left a link down below. I want to leave you with this. Here's a song that I heard a long time ago. In fact, I believe it's 8 years old at least, by a rapper by the name of Nasir Jones. All right, I like a lot of different rappers, to include Lil Wayne and everything. A lot of different rappers. There's a lot of rappers who I don't like, but one of the rappers who I really do enjoy is Nas. And he made a song, and I left a link down below. You can go ahead and watch it. He made a song where he said, you can say nigger if you want. You can be a nigger if you want. Alright? You're my friend and stuff. If we have the same goals and aspirations and stuff and we can get along, you're my friend. You could say nigger. I could say nigger. She could say nigger. And everybody could say it. And everybody's going to say it, because here's the thing. That's the only way you can defeat what you would call a hateful word, or an aggressive word such as nigger. You can't defeat it by sweeping it under the rug and pretending it don't exist, and can't nobody say it, and that's one word you can't say, and you never say it no matter who you are. That's not how you defeat the sting of a word. You defeat the sting of it. You defeat the oppression of a particular word simply by using it and overusing it until it just doesn't even have no meaning. It becomes neutralized. That's the only way you're going to defeat words. Until then, you have to be absolutely afraid of these words, terrified by these words. And think about that. A human being. You're a human being, and you're terrified by a word. That's the kind of stuff that we're dealing with today. That's the kind of stuff that we're being taught in our public school to do and stuff, and it just don't make no sense. I want to unify with y'all out there, man. I want to come together. We're all sort of different. There's all sort of people who disagree with all sort of things that I say, and that's all right. I don't have no problem with that. But we can come together on our similarities. We can get together and say, of course we're different about this and that, but what do we have in common? Well, what we have in common is that all of our ancestors were slaves at one point. You got to understand this. All of our ancestors were probably slaveholders at one point. I mean, you're talking about lots and lots of generations. All throughout, inside your blood, you have the capability of being a slave and a slave master. All right, and that's perfectly encapsulated in that video below. If y'all check that out, that's Nasir Jones. Be a nigger too, if you want. Be a nigger too. And anyways, I'll holler at y'all later. It's April the 1st, and this was not an April Fool's joke. 2017.